This deep dive covers IBM's article entitled AI Agents in 2025, Expectations versus Reality by Ivan Belcic and Stryker.
Yeah, it's quite something how fast the conversation shifts in tech, isn't it?
It really is.
I mean, just a while ago, it felt like everything was NFTs, crypto, the metaverse.
Right, those are the big buzzwords.
And now, generative AI has taken center stage.
Yeah.
We've seen huge interest around OpenAI's GPT, Anthropic's Claude, Microsoft's Copilot.
And more recently, things like DeepSeek's R1 seem to be getting attention, too.
Exactly. But the really hot topic right now seems to be AI agents.
Absolutely. You hear it everywhere. 2025, the year of the AI agent. Huge promises, right? Transforming work, transforming daily life.
A fundamental shift, they say.
So our goal today is really to, well, cut through some of that hype. Let's have a realistic conversation about what these AI agents might actually be able to do in 2025.
And how they'll really impact us.
Exactly. And we're drawing heavily on the insights from the IBM experts featured in this article.
Which is great because they offer some really grounded perspectives. I'm talking about Mariam Ashori, who's Director of Product Management for IBM WatsonX.ai.
Okay.
Marina Danilevsky is Senior Research Scientist focusing on language technologies.
Uh-huh.
Vyoma Gadchar, an AI Technical Solutions Architect. And Chris Hay, who's a Distinguished Engineer at IBM.
So a good mix of product, research, architecture, and deep engineering perspectives.
Precisely. It gives a well-rounded view.
Okay, so first things first. How does the article actually define an AI agent? What are we talking about here?
Well, fundamentally, they're described as software programs that can act, autonomously.
Autonomously.
Meaning they can understand a goal you give them, figure out a plan to achieve it, and then actually execute the steps needed.
Okay, and the key engine behind this is LLMs, right? Large language models?
That's right. They're powered by LLMs, and crucially, they can interact with other tools and systems, APIs, databases, you name it, to actually get the job done.
So this is different from the AI assistants we're used to, like chatbots?
Yeah, significantly different. With a typical assistant, you need to prompt it for every single step, every piece of information.
Right.
An agent, at least in theory, could take a broad goal, like plan my business trip to London next week, find flights in a hotel within this budget, and handle the bookings, and do all of that without constant hand-holding.
That's the vision, anyway.
That's the vision. But Mariam Shuri points out something important.
What's that?
She says that a lot of what's being called an agent right now is really an LLM with some, let's say, rudimentary planning abilities and the capacity to use external tools.
Function calling, they call it.
Exactly, function calling.
Right.
So it's maybe not quite the fully autonomous reasoning entity that the term agent sometimes implies. There's a gap between current tech and the grand vision.
Okay, so maybe a bit of term inflation happening.
Potentially. But Chris Hay, the Distinguished Engineer, he's actually quite optimistic.
Oh, yeah.
He thinks that even with the models we have now, or will have very soon, we can build much more robust agents than we're generally seeing. He believes the core intelligence is largely there.
Interesting. So let's explore that. The article breaks down some common narratives around AI agents. The first big one you already mentioned. 2025 is the year of the AI agent.
Right. That's the headline you see everywhere. Time, Reuters, Forbes, quoting tech leaders like Jensen Huang saying we're already in the age of agentic AI.
And the picture painted is pretty transformative, impacting work, optimization, daily life, everything.
And you can't deny the momentum. Ashuri mentions this IBM and Morning Consult survey, where 99% basically all developers building enterprise AI applications are exploring or actually developing AI agents.
Wow, 99%. That's huge.
It shows massive interest and investment from the developer side, definitely.
But going back to Ashuri's earlier point, does that mean 99% are building truly autonomous agents? Or the function calling type?
That's the nuance, isn't it? She highlights that difference. Again, the current market conception often revolves around LLMs with function calling, which is useful, but it's not the same as agents with deep reasoning and planning.
So for you listening, it's key to understand what level of agent capability is actually being discussed.
Exactly. Vyoma Gadchar adds to this caution. She sees agents starting to do things like analyzing data, predicting trends, automating workflows.
Okay, practical applications.
Yes, but she stresses that fully autonomous, complex decision-making, That requires big leaps forward.
In what area specifically?
Primarily in contextual reasoning, really understanding the nuances of a situation, and also in rigorous testing. How do you truly validate these agents' decisions?
Makes sense. Then there's Marina Danilevsky, the research scientist. She seems more skeptical.
Quite a bit more, yes. She actually questions if agents are just, well, rebranding an old concept.
Which is?
Orchestration, coordinating different software components, which is a familiar idea in programming.
Ah, okay. So is it truly new or just new packaging?
That's her question. She also raises broader doubts about the return on investment for LLM tech in general, in some use cases, and she has real concerns about what truly autonomous agents might mean.
Like the risks involved.
Risks, control, unintended consequences. Plus, she points out something very practical. Communication between humans and even current chat agents is often pretty ineffective.
That's true. We've all had frustrating chatbot experiences.
Right. So if we struggle with that, how do we reliably instruct a fully autonomous agent to perform complex, high-stakes tasks?
Good point. But despite that skepticism, Chris Hay is still excited about 2025.
Very much so. He sees it as a massive year of experimentation. You've got all the major tech players involved, plus startups like Salesforce launching things like their Agentforce platform.
So the ecosystem is definitely buzzing.
He believes a lot of agents are going to get built and tested. It's a nascent stage, but a very active one.
Okay, let's move to the second narrative. Agents can handle highly complex tasks on their own. This assumes they meet that theoretical definition, fully autonomous, minimal human help needed.
And here, Chris Hay leans optimistic again, especially looking towards early 2025.
Why? What makes him think that?
He points to several key developments in the underlying AI models.
Okay, like what?
First, models are just getting better, faster, and often smaller, more efficient.
Right, continuous improvement there.
Second, there's chain of thought training. This helps the AI sort of reason things out step by step.
Like showing its work.
Kind of, yeah, leading to better, more explainable results. Third, context windows are getting much larger.
Meaning they can remember more information from the conversation or documents.
Exactly.
Right.
Which is vital for complex tasks that require considering a lot of information at once.
And fourth.
Function calling, which we mentioned, the ability to use external tools and APIs.
So better models, better reasoning, more memory, and the ability to act in the digital world.
Hay argues these four things combined give the models coming soon the necessary planning, reasoning, tool use, and speed to power genuinely capable agents.
But Ashori brings back the caution, right?
She does. She emphasizes the gap between promise and current reality. Suitability really depends on the use case.
Meaning?
Simple, well-defined tasks. More feasible now. Highly sophisticated, open-ended projects. Still a significant challenge for full automation.
And Danilevsky adds context again.
Yes, she points out that just because an agent can technically perform some complex actions doesn't mean you should agentize every workflow. Practicality, cost, edge cases, they all matter.
Which leads nicely into Vyoma Gajar's points about risk and governance.
Absolutely critical. She stresses the need for rigorous testing in safe, sandboxed environments before deploying anything.
And having safety nets.
Definitely. Things like robust rollback mechanisms if something goes wrong, and detailed audit logs to track everything the agent does. This is especially crucial in high-stakes areas like finance or healthcare.
Is she optimistic about progress there?
He is. She expects to see real strides in developing these safety and governance measures during 2025.
Okay, but even if the models get good enough, Hay mentioned another bottleneck, didn't he?
He did. He pointed out that most organizations simply aren't agent-ready from an infrastructure perspective.
Meaning their internal systems aren't set up for agents.
Pretty much. Their enterprise APIs, the ways their internal software talks to each other, often aren't exposed or designed in a way that AI agents can easily connect to and use effectively.
So the plumbing needs upgrading before the smart tools can be fully utilized.
That's a good way to put it. The internal readiness is a big hurdle.
All right, narrative number 3. AI orchestrators will govern networks of AI agents. What's the idea here?
This envisions sort of Uber models or manager agents.
Okay.
Their job isn't to do the specific tasks themselves, but to manage a team of specialized AI agents.
Like a project manager for AIs.
Exactly. The orchestrator understands the overall goal, breaks it down, and delegates subtasks to different agents, each with its own expertise. Maybe one agent is good at data analysis, another at writing reports, another at interacting with external systems.
And the orchestrator coordinates them all.
Coordinates them, ensures they work together, manages the workflow.
How credible is this vision?
Vyoma Gajar sees this as quite credible, even likely. She thinks these orchestrators could become the backbone of enterprise AI systems.
The central nervous system, she called it.
Yes, connecting agents, optimizing workflows, handling diverse data. But she adds a big but.
The jumps.
Compliance frameworks.
Yeah.
You absolutely need strong governance around these complex, interconnected systems.
Makes sense. What's Hay's take on orchestration?
He outlines a similar model, larger orchestrators managing smaller, specialized agents for constrained tasks.
But he adds a twist, doesn't he?
He does. He predicts a possible near-term shift away from orchestration towards more capable single-agent systems as individual agents improve.
Oh, interesting. So maybe we don't need the managers right away.
Perhaps, but then he suggests that as we hit the limits of what those single agents can do, we might swing back towards multi-agent collaboration and orchestration.
A pendulum effect. Sort of. And crucially, he emphasizes that humans will likely remain in the loop throughout these shifts. It's not fully autonomous systems replacing oversight entirely.
What about Ashuri? Does she think we need these meta-orchestrators?
Not necessarily always. Her view is that an ideal agent should be smart enough to figure out itself when it needs to call upon another agent or use a specific tool.
So, inherent collaboration ability within the agent.
Right. However, she does concede that for specific common combinations of specialized tasks, building a dedicated custom orchestrator agent could make sense for efficiency.
And Danilevsky, back to strategy.
Always back to strategy with her, which is valuable. Her point is, before you even think about complex orchestration, enterprises need to do the groundwork.
Which is?
Understand which workflows are actually suitable for agentization in the first place. What's the real potential ROI? Don't build an orchestration strategy without knowing what you're orchestrating and why.
That sounds like solid advice, something often emphasized by the AI coach by Anil Nathu, focus on the business problem first. Exactly. Which brings us neatly to the fourth narrative. Agents will augment human workers.
This is the counterpoint to the job loss fears, right? The idea that AI helps humans doesn't just replace them.
Precisely. It's about collaboration, human-led workflows enhanced by AI.
How do the IBM experts see this?
Ashuri strongly believes in empowering employees. Give them the agents as tools, let them decide how best to use them.
So it's not about replacing every task.
Not at all. Her example was great. An agent might summarize a long meeting transcript for you, saving time.
Okay. Useful.
But it's not going to replace the actual human conversation, the brainstorming, the relationship building that happened in the meeting.
That makes sense. Does Danilevsky agree?
Wholeheartedly. She champions the human-in-the-loop, or HITL model.
Meaning humans stay in charge?
Yes. Agents assist, they provide data, they automate steps, but the final decision-making authority, especially for complex or sensitive situations, stays with the human professional.
That seems like a more sustainable approach.
She argues it is. While automation might offer cost savings, the synergy of human judgment and AI efficiency likely yields better long-term results.
What about Chris Hay on augmentation?
He agrees that AI, implemented correctly, should augment humans, leading to better outcomes and freeing people up for more interesting, less repetitive work.
But he adds a warning.
He does. He cautions that if AI systems are implemented poorly, you could end up in a situation where humans are primarily just augmenting the AI, feeding it data, correcting its mistakes, doing the bits it can't handle.
That's not the ideal outcome.
Definitely not. It flips the intended benefit.
And Gajar's view on reshaping work.
She acknowledges agents will reshape work by automating routine tasks. This should free up human talent for more strategic, creative, and complex problem solving.
But requires careful planning.
Yes. She stresses the need for intentionality from companies. And again, strong governance frameworks focusing on fairness, transparency, and accountability are non-negotiable for a smooth transition.
Hay also mentioned something about open source.
Yeah, an interesting point. He sees the potential for open source AI to fuel an AI agent marketplace.
Creating new business opportunities.
Exactly. Opportunities for innovation, monetization, maybe smaller players developing specialized agents.
And he had a point about global impact, too.
Right, about enablement in places with low bandwidth. He sees LLMs, especially those accessible via simple text like SMS, as potentially transformative.
Bringing information and AI capabilities to more people.
That's the hope. It's a reminder that the impact isn't just about fancy enterprise tools. The AI coach by Anil Nathu sometimes explores these broader societal implications too.
Okay, so pulling all these threads together, the article highlights two really critical themes that kept coming up, didn't they?
Absolutely. Two key pillars for making this AI agent revolution or evolution work sustainably: AI governance and a solid AI strategy focused on economic value.
Let's tackle governance first. What were the key takeaways there?
Well, Vioma Gadjar was very clear. Companies need proactive governance frameworks. You need to monitor performance, ensure accountability.
And she mentioned IBM's approach.
Yes, IBM's responsible AI approach, focusing on trust, transparency, auditability. It's about building these safeguards in from the start.
Ashuri gave a pretty chilling example of why this matters, right?
She did. The scenario of an agent autonomously deleting sensitive data by accident.
Yikes.
It really highlights the risks when you give software the power to act independently without tight controls.
And Danilevsky's point about responsibility.
Crucial. Technology doesn't take responsibility. Humans do. And with AI, the scale of potential risks, data leaks, bias amplification is just much higher because of the speed and automation involved.
So ultimately, people are on the hook.
That's what Hay stated plainly. Humans within the organization will be held responsible for what the AI does. You can't blame the algorithm when things go wrong.
Which makes Ashuri's points on transparency and traceability even more critical.
Exactly. You need to be able to see how an agent made a decision and have a clear record of what actions it took. No black boxes allowed when the stakes are high.
Danilevsky did encourage experimentation, though.
Yes, experimentation is valuable for learning, but she coupled it with caution.
Yeah.
Be careful about which models you choose and what data you feed them.
Especially regarding data ownership.
Right. Be aware of the terms. Are you inadvertently giving a provider rights to all your valuable enterprise data by using their model? You need to understand those implications.
Okay, that covers governance. What about the second pillar? AI strategy. Why is that so vital?
Danilevsky predicts the current, FOMO-driven AI boom will eventually normalize.
Fear of missing out.
Right. As companies get a better handle on where AI actually delivers value, the hype will cool down, and strategic deployment will become the focus. Gadjar added that integration is key, embedding agents into the wider ecosystem for continuous learning and real efficiency gains.
Danilevsky also used that great analogy.
The hammer in search of a nail. Yes. Don't just adopt LLMs or agents because they're trendy. First, identify the real business problem, the nail. Then see if the AI hammer is the right tool.
It seems obvious, but it's easy to get caught up in the tech excitement.
Very easy. A clear strategy prevents that.
And Hay's advice ties into this. Get agent ready.
Exactly. Strategically organize your private internal data so agents can actually use it effectively and securely. That's fundamental to getting ROI.
Because accessing proprietary data is where agents can really offer unique value. That's something the AI coach by Anil Nathu really emphasizes.
Precisely. Ashuri reinforces this too. Agents are an opportunity to leverage your unique data and workflows for differentiation and scale.
Building on last year's Gen AI experiments.
Yes, moving from exploration to really maximizing the ROI from Gen AI, with agents being a key enabler. Again, having a sound strategy, perhaps informed by resources like the AI coach by Anil Nathu, is crucial for that transition.
And the article mentioned other resources for listeners who want to dive deeper.
It did. Mariam Ashuri has a guide specifically on analyzing the costs of agentic AI, which sounds very useful.
And Gadjar and Hay were on a podcast.
Yes, IBM's Mixture of Experts podcast, so you can hear more directly from them there. Definitely worth checking out those resources and the AI Coach website for more depth.
Great insights. It really feels like 2025 will be significant for AI agents, but perhaps more about laying groundwork, experimentation, and strategic planning than full-blown autonomous takeover.
I think that's a fair summary. Progress, yes, but tempered with realism about the challenges, especially around governance and enterprise readiness.
Thank you for joining us today. Visit the AI Coach website for more AI insights by Anil Nathu.